PorchFestKC is coming up on its fourth year on Saturday, October 14th, and it's an event that's supported by the Neighborhood Tourist Development Fund. Today we are with Catherine Golden, who is the founder of PorchFestKC, to talk to us all about the event. Thank you for having us out here on this beautiful day.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Crossing fingers that it'll be a beautiful day for PorchFest as well.
Absolutely.
How did you get the idea for PorchFestKC?
I originally lived on the West Coast, and I attended a PorchFest in Napa, California, and it was, I believe, the second year that they had one, and it was just this really amazing experience of just musicians and people on bicycles and walking around and seeing a neighborhood that I had not been familiar with, and just kind of this really low-key community event I felt like I had stumbled upon. And I thought at the time, like, this is so perfect, and if I ever get back, move back to Kansas City, this would be something Kansas City should do. And then a few years later I moved back, was looking for something to start, and decided, that memory flashed back, and it seemed like a great fit for where I was at the time.
Well, how many groups, how many musical performers will you have this year?
This year was a big jump. So each year has increased. 192 bands actually applied to the event.
Gosh.
I didn't ultimately have enough space for all of them, so it's the first year that I've had to turn people away. We will land at 160 bands performing on one afternoon. So 160 hours of music crammed into 6 hours.
And where are the porches located, and how do you get to be a porch?
Okay, so the
PorchFest?
porches this year, it's spread very wide. It's a dense amount of area, but it's wide. So it's all of Valentine neighborhood in Midtown, the Roanoke neighborhood in Midtown, and a little bit of the eastern side of Volker. And all of those people and a few others that I couldn't use, they just go online to my website and they apply to be a porch host. And their agreement is that they will open their yard up to pedestrians to sit and stand in their yard, that they'll offer their porch to musicians to play, and they'll provide electricity. And so the ask is pretty low bar, and then they invite their friends and their colleagues, and they all just kind of have a party in their yard.
And what else can people experience during PorchFest? It's not just about the music, it's also...
There's food trucks there.
Yeah.
It's interesting. There's a lot of PorchFest in other parts of the country, and actually Canada also, include a lot of different arts. I have really stuck with music as my core subject. We definitely have food trucks there, and so it's music and food trucks. That's really kind of the crux of it.
And it's all free, but you want to help the musicians out too.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's free to attend. It's a great family event. It's an alcohol-free event, which I find really valuable to kind of keep a certain tone to it and invite everybody. Bands all play for tips. So I put gigantic tip jars on every porch and on a pole out front, and I encourage everyone who comes to throw a few dollars in for every porch they stop at. And if everyone did that, the musicians would be fairly compensated without having to buy a ticket to an event at a really inflated price.
So people can walk from porch to porch because there are different performances happening all at one time.
Yes.
And what are the hours for the fest?
So it's noon to 6. The music is much broader this year. The Roanoke neighborhood has a lot larger porches, and they're further spaced apart. And so I open it up to other kinds of genres this year that maybe are a little bit louder. So there's blues, reggae, there's a 14-piece classical orchestra that's going to be playing on a porch, which is pretty exciting. And then the normal Americana, folk, classic country, kind of a wide mix. So as you wander around from noon to 6 p.m., you'll see a lot of different types of bands, anywhere from 1 member to 14 members in the band. There's a lot of kids that are performing, which I love. Some youth performers, some that'll be coming back, many of them repeats from last year. And you can just wander, and whatever catches your ear, stop and listen.
And where can people find out about the different bands that are performing, and about the hours, and about what to bring?
Sure, absolutely. So the website's your #1 source. So PorchFestKC.com would be the first source. The same thing on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's all PorchFestKC. At the event, there will be a map that you can pick up at the information booth that tells you every hour who's playing on what porch. That will be available for download on the website as well a few days before the event.
Great. And if there's a weather change that we need to be aware of?
There won't be, but if there were, we will probably just move it. We're planning on moving it just to Sunday, the very next day. So it'll be a trimmed down. Not every porch host is available, not every band is available, not every food truck is available, but we'll just do business as usual the next day.
And all of that would be announced also on the outlets that you just mentioned?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for having us out here and for telling us about the event. It sounds very exciting.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me.
The Neighborhood Tourist Development Fund supports local nonprofits that bring cultural, social, educational, and recreational activities to our area. To learn about additional upcoming events, visit kcmo.gov/NTDF.